All right, Devlin, this is a review of your Chanter lesson from January 26th, 2024. We'll get started right into it. What I want you to make sure you're doing first and foremost is that your finger placement on the Chanter is relaxed, right? But not, and no pointy knuckles, right? So just go ahead and get that feel again. It's really important to put the sole of your Chanter down on a surface, right? Table, whatever you have, knee, something like that. So get everything situated, right? And you're going to make sure that the thumb in the back is on the Chanter. It's about partway between the pointer finger and the middle finger. Depends on the person, but all right, so get ready for that. Let's have you play a low G, which is all the holes covered, right? For a sound check, make sure it's all sounding right. Here we go. Okay, so if your low G is playing, it should sound about like the way mine did. Okay, keep your fingers like that. What we're gonna do right off the bat is a scale, right? First, we're going to do just the low hand scale, right? From low G up to D. So let's do that right now together. 1, 2. Okay, so there we are in the D position. Fingers are landing the way they started, not pointing. All right, here we are on D. Now we're gonna go down from D to low G. Ready? 1, 2. Stay in the low G position. This time we're going to do that low hand scale up to D and back down without taking a break. Ready? 1, 2. Let's do it again. 1, 2. Once you have that confident, it might already be, I want you to pause the video and try to play it faster. Like this. I'll just demonstrate it, but then you pause the video and do it. Right? Try that a bunch. Okay, now that you've done the low hand scale, slow and then fast, right? Let's do the top hand scale. Top hand scale is E, starts on E, goes up to F, high G, high A. Let's try it together, starting on E. Ready? 1, 2. Okay, there we are in high A. Let's stay in the high A position and go back down to E. 1, 2. Okay, let's put it together. E up to high A, back down to E again. Ready? 1, 2. Again, 1, 2. All right, once that's comfortable, make a speed exercise out of it. Pause the video, try that on your own. Okay, once you've done the speed exercise version of the top hand scale, we're going to put the whole scale together. Of course, the tricky part on that is when you get to D and you go up to E, right? We don't want to have a crossing sound. We do not want that. It's an unintended note between two notes. The crossing sound would sound like this. We don't want it. It's a temporary little low G before we get up to E. We don't want that. We want a clean transition. So before we started, try a few of those just from D to E, D to E. Pause the video and try that on your own. Okay, now that you've practiced the D to E transition a couple times on your own, let's go ahead and do the entire scale from low G up to high A. Ready? 1, 2. Okay, now we're going to go back down from high A. Ready? 1, 2. How was that transition from E down to D? Make sure that's good. Okay, work on that on your own. Let's do the scale again. Bottom up to the top and back down. No pauses. 1, 2. At the end of that, I wanted you to check your fingers and make sure that they're not gripping the chanter too tightly. As a matter of fact, throughout your entire practice, we want you to be careful that you're not gripping super tightly. All right, let's move on to the sheet that I wrote out for you. We're going to omit the top line for now, and we're going to go start with this line right here. And this line has the D to E transition, right? And it does it 4 times, and then we repeat it. So we do the transition 8 times. Ready? Okay, 1, 2. Okay, if that was difficult for you to play with no crossing sounds, pause the video and do it slower on your own. Okay, the next line that we're going to do is E to low A. I affectionately call this the siren exercise. All right, we're going to just play E, low A, E, low A. We're going to do the 8 of them, 8 of those packets. Ready? 1, 2. All right, you probably heard that squeak that my chanter made when I played the low A. They do that sometimes. Just blow past it and move on. No big deal. All right, you need to pause the video and play that on your own. Your challenge will be to play it really fast. All right, just play around with that. Okay, next line is the F to low A, right? That's the bottom line. We're going to do F to low A. Of course, on that one, you want to make sure that when you're going from F down to low A, back up to F again, listen to the transition between low A and F. We don't want to accidentally play a little bit of an E here. We don't want that. We don't want that. To make sure that doesn't happen, you need to lift these 2 fingers at the same time. Maybe even microscopically, you're thinking of moving the F finger just a little bit before the others. All right, ready? Starting on F. 1, 2. Okay, if that's uncomfortable with that speed, or you're getting some unintended crossing sounds, that unintended E, on the way up to F, pause the video, try it on your own. Once you've gotten good at the F to low A transition at that previous tempo, you'll go ahead and try it faster. Right? Okay, that's where we're headed. The last thing that we covered at the lesson was the introduction of the G grace note. And that's at the top of the line on the page that I wrote out for you. Okay, this copy is quite hard to see. But basically, we're playing G grace notes onto the melody notes of the scale. And if you may recall, a grace note is a short note, right, that separates 2 other notes. So in this position here, I'm in low G, right? If I play low G, lift this finger up and drop it, it's a high G grace note on low G. Here it is. Do you hear it as a little blip sound? And when you see it, I turn sideways so you could see my finger's not moving very much. It's very short. Okay. However, when you land, it shouldn't be the tight grip that we talked about. Let's try just some G grace notes on low G together. Ready? 1, 2. Okay. How did I start that last exercise? I said 1, 2, and then the first sound I made was what? What's the first note on the page on that line? It's a high G grace note, isn't it? So I started with this finger in the air and dropped it. I went 1, 2. That's something you can try on your own if it's not working for you on the video right now. Not a big deal, but it's good to be able to start that way. All right, the last thing we did was we played grace notes all the way up the scale, right? Even up to E, and then we didn't quite make it to the top of the scale. Right now we're going to do it from low G all the way up to D. Here we go. You ready? So your G grace note fingers in the air on 3. 1, 2. Okay, let's try it again. 1, 2. notice that all the listener is hearing is a G grace note, followed by a melody note, then another G grace note, followed by a melody note. Be careful that you're not doing this. This can happen sometimes. Some people might do. Did you hear that? In that instance, I went to the low A and then played the grace note. Obviously, we don't want that, right? If I'm on low G, I'm going to do a G grace note to low A. I have to lift that G grace note finger first, right? Like this. Okay, let's try that one more time, going up to D and then back down. 1, 2. If that's challenging, go ahead and pause the video, try it on your own. That's not actually written on your paper. All right, the next thing that we have in here, this is the last thing we'll go over, is the transition from D to E with the high G grace note. All right, and we talked about that a little bit in class, right? And you're in the D position, and we need to get up to the E, but we have to do a G grace note first. So what happens in slow motion is this. You're in this D position, you lift up both of these two fingers, the high G and the E. As soon as you lift the high G finger, guess what sound the chanter makes? It's a high A sound. Here, listen to that when I go from D. Okay, so that's a high G sound. The listener is hearing high G because the topmost finger off the hole is the high G finger. All right, so there you go, right? Now we're listening to the high G. We have to land on E. That's where we're landing. So it's a lot to do. Here's how it is a little faster. Right, we need it to be a blip sound. I just made it big so you could see it. So your job is to practice in being in the D position, lifting these two fingers up so that this one is maybe up a little earlier than this one, so you don't actually accidentally go. We don't want that. We just want to go straight to high G. And then drop the fingers into the E position. Okay? So that's your challenge. Okay. So we're going to do one of those, and then we're going to keep going up the scale. All right, and I'll talk about the rest. We're on D, going with a G grace note up to E. Ready? So what did I do there? We saw the transition from D to E with the grace note, right? Here we are on E. We do a G grace note to F. So that looks like this. That's the G from E, the G grace note up to F from E. Notice I lift these two fingers off at the same time to make the G grace note, but then only the pointer finger comes down. All right, that's the G grace note from E to F. Now I'm on F, and I'm going to go to G. That's the next note in the scale, but I can't do a G grace note on it, so I have to do a thumb grace note. It's a high A grace note, and that's how it's written in the music. So that looks like this. Notice for a little while, after I leave the F, all the fingers are off of the top hand, and then I have to land that thumb back on the back hole, like this. That's how it is sped up. But for now, you can do it slow. Now we're in high G. That's the second to the last note of the scale. The last note of the scale is high A. We can't play a grace note up to it from here, so we just go to the high A and play it. And that's how it's written in the music. So what we were just looking at was that section of the scale. Take a look at it, see if it makes sense. We're going to do the whole scale with G grace notes up to high A. Ready? G grace note fingers in the air to do the G grace note on low G. Ready? 1, 2. And there it is. Have fun.